everybody, and welcome to another episode of On the Move with the Caravan Sports Preview with Jim Powers. I'm Chris Miller, joined as always with Jim Powers. Jim, it's really been a long time since we've done one of these shows. I think we've been a little busy.
Just maybe a little bit, with you guys wrapping up your side of the basketball season, and obviously, here at Rosati wrapping up our kids, made it to a district semifinal and lost to Vashon, the number one team in the state. But yeah, it's been a busy couple months, but obviously it's a great couple months. And it's hard to believe that it's the final 2 weeks of basketball season, final weekend for classes 1, 2, and 3, and then the apple cart sort of got turned over in the district finals all around the state on both the boys and girls side, 4, 5, and 6, heading into the quarterfinals this weekend. So a lot of great things happening, a lot of great games on tap this weekend. I'm excited to get down to Springfield. I'll be on the call for the Class 1 and Class 3 boys semifinals and championships. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I mean that's you've been calling games and doing stuff with Rosati, and I was busy losing games. But it is the end of the season, and things are winding down, and it's really an exciting time of the year for a lot of schools. I mean, you make that trip to Springfield. Used to be Columbia, and be a part of the Final Four and be a part of the atmosphere, and that experience is great for the kids, great for the coaches, great for the community. So as you said, we got 1, 2, and 3. They're going to be playing in Springfield this week to finish up, starting on Thursday. So we'll get right into the boys' side. We have Class 1, our Final Four matchup. We have the two-time defending state champion South Iron Panthers. They're going to be taking on a Jefferson Conception Junction Eagles. That's a really big matchup. You've got the current Hall of Fame coach Tim Germain with his 800 plus wins and 4 state championships going up against future Hall of Fame coach Dusty Dinkins and his 350 plus wins or whatever they're at. And that's my alma mater. So I mean there's a little rooting interest that I have there. And then real quick before we jump in there, we have St. Elizabeth. They're going to be taking on Glasgow. Glasgow making, again, another trip. It's just one of those things. Mick Kropp always finds a way to get his teams to the Final Four. He's just looking for that elusive state championship title. So, Jim, what do you see with the boys' side of Class 1 on the Final Four?
This is a loaded Class 4 without any doubt. And when you talk about South Iron, yeah, they're back-to-back state championships, but they're like the team that you don't talk a lot about in the lower classes because they've only been there, over the last couple of years. But when you talk about Jefferson Conception, when you talk about St. Elizabeth, you talk about Glasgow, you're talking about teams that have been there and done that, on a pretty consistent basis. This is a loaded field. And the South Iron Jefferson game, you're talking about two teams that love to get it and go. They love to race up and down the court. They've got great guard play. Not very big, but their bigs underneath know how to do things fundamentally sound. And so I think this game is going to be a well of a ball game. And then you look at St. Elizabeth and Glasgow. Guess what? If you love defense, this is the game to watch. If you don't like defense, you better turn the game off and not watch it because this one is going to be a knockdown drag out. They got great shooters, great kids, but both teams, both coaches, they're defensive minded. And they're going to get after you. They're going to go full court. They're going to try and do some different things with their presses. They're going to do some doubling up on top. And they're really one of the big things, especially with Glasgow, is they love to double down on the block. So if a big gets it down there, they're firing two people to come down, and they're going to force the outside jumpers. So there's going to be some really interesting defensive strategies that are going to be put out in that game. But what a way to start things off down at JQH on Thursday with these two Class 1 teams, games matching up in the semis. It's just going to be a great way, and plus a great experience, too. I mean, the atmosphere in there is going to be terrific, for the Class 1 schools, especially since you got a couple from down in the southwest corner of the state.
Right. And, St. Elizabeth, they've had a few different coaches that have come through, but Coach Heckemeyer has been there. This is his third year, and it's going to be his third trip to the Final Four. And he's obviously looking to get into that state championship game. I believe they've taken third the last 2 years. And talk about defense. I think that for all 4 of these teams, defense is such a focal point for both of them. I watched Coach Germain's Jefferson teams back in the early 2000s shut down a well-oiled Scott County Central machine with a freshman named Otto Porter. I think he was
And
pretty good.
some kid,
Yeah,
like he was pretty
he's
good.
okay. He was okay,
Okay.
and a couple of really good teams from Bell City. So he's done it before. He's been there, and I got to say that I think the winner of the South Iron Jefferson game is really they're the favored ones. Now I will say this: St. Elizabeth plays one of the tougher schedules in Class 1, and they're battle tested. As you can see, they have they have 10 losses, but don't let the record fool you.
No, not at all. They play they play some Class 3 schools. They've even dipped their toe into playing some Class 4 schools. They are absolutely battle tested. South Iron is a team this year. They got pushed into some games this year. This isn't the normal South Iron team that we've seen over the last couple of years because of what they've done and how they've done it. They've been pushed a little bit this year. But I think if you talk to Coach Jenkins, he likes that. He likes the fact that they kind of got pushed out of their comfort zone a little bit. And Jefferson Conception is going to do that to them. They're going to try and slow the pace down. South Iron, they love to go. They want to go 94 feet every possession, both offensively, defensively. Jefferson's going to have to try and figure out a way to slow that pace down a little bit. And I think they can. Once again, Hall of Fame coach, over 700 plus wins. I mean, he's been there. He's done it. He knows exactly what to do. I think that game, you're exactly right, Chris, is the state championship game. But I'm telling you right now, don't count St. Elizabeth or Glasgow out. They can make things really, really interesting on Friday afternoon.
100% agree. And then on the girls' side of Class 1, you have Chadwick, who, if I had to look at it, they upset Delta, who upset South Iron in the sectional game. That there a lot of people expected the winner of Delta South Iron to be the one who represents that side of the bracket in the Final Four. Chadwick says not so fast and does their best Lee Corso impression. And they'll be taking on Jefferson, the defending state champions, on that side. So Jefferson sending both boys and girls teams to the Final Four. And on the other side of the bracket, you have Leeton, who made the Final Four last year. They're going to be taking on undefeated and top ranked. And I mean, they're on a stinking roll, the Meadville Eagles. So, Jim, what do you see in the girls' side of Class 1?
Well, first off, Jefferson Conception sending both their teams there. What a great weekend it's going to be for those kids. The student body. I mean, for the small schools, once again, and it's the old football thing. Last person out of town, make sure all the lights are shut off, make sure all the doors are locked. And that's what's going to happen in Jefferson and Conjunction City. But yeah, what a great year for them. But I'm telling you, Meadville is on a roll right now. They are, I mean, look at what they've been doing. They beat North Shelby, they beat St. Elizabeth, but this Chadwick team, they know how to win down at the state Final Four. They've done it in the past. And then when you beat a Delta team who everybody, including us, a couple weeks ago, flat out said this is the team to beat. Well, guess what? Chadwick threw some defense at them that they hadn't seen all year long and was able to slow the pace down because Delta, you got to remember, Delta was averaging nearly 70 a game. And they were beating people senseless. And they kind of got a dose of their own medicine a little bit in that quarterfinal. If you're Jefferson Conception, you've got to come out and you've got to play defense. You've got to slow this pace down and make Chadwick do some things that they're not comfortable in doing. But right now, if I'm looking at things, Meadville, they should take care of their business. Leeton's having a great season. They beat Max Creek by 1 in the quarter. But I really like Chadwick and Meadville in the state championship on Friday afternoon. I think that could be a terrific game.
See, I'm going to differ with you a little bit. I'm going to say Meadville is going to go ahead and advance against Leeton. I think that's going to be a tougher game than what people expect, even though the coaches' kids from Meadville are pretty good. I don't want to butcher the last name, but they're pretty good. Keep an eye on that. And then I'm going to say the defending champs are going to be playing for the state championship again. I think that you can't overlook that experience. Plus, I believe we have some juniors on that team that are leading the way. So
they're pretty good.
That's my picks. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you win a state championship. You're automatically pretty decent in your own class. So I look for them to continue rolling on. And that's just where we differ. Class 2. let's look at that. We have our Final Four is set up. We have Principia taking on undefeated and top-ranked Plattsburgh. the only undefeated team left in the state right now. And on the other side, we have Salisbury taking on Hartville. And we've got a matchup of pretty much, we have some really good coaching in Class 2, and I've said all year long, just being someone who's a part of the rankings, that Class 2 boys is a meat grinder, and these are the last four standing. So, Jim, what's your thoughts on the Final Four in Class 2?
Unbelievable grouping of teams, and this is going to be a fun. I'm glad I'm not calling these games because I could actually sit back and enjoy, and because you've got four outstanding coaches, you got four great teams. And the storylines are all over the place. Plattsburgh undefeated. They are the only undefeated team on the boys' side. They join Incarnate Word as the only undefeated, the only two undefeated teams, if I'm not mistaken. In basketball in the state.
My fault. I forgot all about Incarnate Word. What am I thinking? Of course they're undefeated.
Of course they won 99 straight games. So we'll get into that later on. But Plattsburgh is so good. And in talking to Jay Blossom earlier today, he just said this is probably the best offense we're going to see all year long. And Prince played up a little bit with some of their scheduling and all that. He said we've got to do stuff to slow this pace down. And Jay can do it. I mean, Jay can turn a team that's averaging 70, 75 a game and turn them inside out to where they're only scoring 40, 45 against you. And the way the Print kids have bought into the program that Jay Blossom, Scott Stolkup have brought in. And that's been huge. And plus, Stephen Okoro, he is just unbelievable. Does so many great things. He's averaging a double-double. He's averaging 13 and 13. His brother's running the point, averaging 4 assists a game. They got Jalen Edwards, who's averaging 16. Plattsburgh's going to have to figure out some things to slow those guys down. So I think that's going to be a great game. And then you go down below, two teams that have been there and done it, Salisbury and Hartsville. I mean, these two teams, once again, they love to get it and go. But I really love how offensively, if they don't get points out of their transition, they're going to go into their secondary, get into their offense, and run sets and wear defenses down. And that's where Salisbury is so doggone successful. That's why we talked about them in the state Final Four for so many years. But you talk about Hartsville, they do the same thing. They just love to grind you out a little bit. They're going to make you defend you. They're going to do things offensively with back cuts, and they love to set screens up on the high post and let their guards run off of those. I mean, this is going to be a gritty game, between those two. But the unfortunate thing is, as much as I want Prin to make it and Jay to get to this final, I think the experience level for Plattsburgh is going to get them there. And I tell you what, I just love Salisbury. Once again, a team that is just, they do it every year. So, Plattsburgh and Salisbury is going to be my pick for that championship game on Saturday night in 2. But I tell you what, locked down for a couple great Class 2 semifinal games between these four schools.
100% agree. And the Plattsburgh, they've got a kid who's pretty good. He's already getting a lot of college looks right now, and Michael Howard coming in averaging 27 points and 13 rebounds a game. He's been all state. He's obviously and he's only a junior. So you can already see that's going to be a big time. I'm sure that's on the whiteboard in Principia's locker room with a big circle around it. They're going to have to do something to slow him down because obviously he is having a phenomenal season. And then if you talk about Salisbury, they've got another Francis kid. I don't know where they keep coming from. I remember when I was at Sturgeon, the Francis boys and how good they were, but Cooper Francis leading the charge for Salisbury, another junior. So if it gets to that point, we've got a matchup of really good juniors. I think, again, like you said, we've got a lot of great coaching. Coach Reed has done a phenomenal job with his teams down there at Hartville, and they're going to play defense. Both teams are going to play defense, and I think that's going to happen on the other side as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. And once again, I think just two terrific matchups. Prin was ranked up and, they were ranked in the top 5 most of the year until they stubbed their toe towards the end. They got dropped down a little bit, but once again, I think the way everything's played out, we got 4 outstanding teams, 2 great games, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Absolutely. And then moving over Class 2 girls, we've got New Haven, who they've kind of came out of nowhere here. I mean, I know they play in the Four Rivers Conference, but hey, I mean, it's not really somebody said like, hey, New Haven, here they come. They're 17-10. They're going to be taking on the number one team in Class 2, Bishop LeBlond. And on the other side of the bracket, you've got the upstart Norwood Pirates, who came in again, another team off the radar, taking on Tipton. The Cardinals at Tipton, I watched the scores, and the only loss they had was to Bishop LeBlond, and that game was in the 30s. So you're talking about right now. I think there's going to be a rematch coming, and I can't wait because everything I've heard about Tipton, not being able to see him, but then hearing about him and looking at the scores, they are a powerhouse. LeBlond is obviously really good. So, Jim, what's your thoughts?
New Haven's having a great year. They came out of the gate slow, but New Haven's New Haven, and they've been down this road before. They're just running into a buzzsaw. And I agree with you 100%. LeBlanc Tipton rematch from earlier this year. And put it this way, first team to 30 may win this thing because these two teams just love to play defense. They get in your face, they guard you, they bump the cutters, that they turn it into just a absolute backyard brawl, so to say. But no, yeah, once again, no offense to New Haven or Norwood, we're going to see a rematch, and it's going to be a doggone great game between LeBlond and Tipton. These are the two top teams in the state. They've been there all year long, and I don't see anything changing. It's been great for New Haven and for Norwood to get to this stage, but it's going to be awfully tough to beat LeBlond and Tipton. And I think Tipton's got that chip on their shoulder because they know they can play with LeBlond. And when you
Right.
have that confidence level, that's going to change things a little bit. So, that's where, yeah, I think we're going to look at that as your championship game on Saturday night. And that's the nightcap on Saturday, which will be a lot of fun for those kids to be able to play the 8 o'clock game on Saturday, the final game of week one. It's just going to be so much fun for those kids.
Absolutely. And Tipton playing up in Class 3 last year, I think that's made them battle tested. Otherwise, you'd have seen them make a deep run in Class 3, but now they're down Class 2. They play a schedule that's basically Class 3, 4, 5, sometimes a 6. They don't care who they're playing. And I think this, like you said, the chip on their shoulder, that's going to be a lot. So that's my two picks there. And then on Class 3 boys, as we keep moving along, we've got New Madrid County Central. They're coming in. They're going to be playing Lafayette County, who I believe finished second last year in Class 3. And on the other side of the bracket, we got Lutheran North. They kind of came out of nowhere. One of those schools do a lot of really good things. And but they're going up against a very, very good Thayer Bobcat team. And Jim, what's your thoughts on Class 3?
Wow. Wow. I mean, that's all you can say with these four teams. I mean, you look at a New Madrid team. A lot of people said their game against Charleston in the sectional, that's a state championship game. But not so fast, my friend, as our good friend Lee Corso would say. Lafayette County has a lot to prove from last year, and the way they've gone about their business. They beat a really good Lone Jack team. They beat an extremely talented St. Pius 10 team. The other St. Pius 10 out of Kansas
The
City.
other one.
The other one.
The other one.
But that's going to be a great matchup. And New Madrid is just, they're hitting on all cylinders right now. I watched them play earlier this year at the Norm Stewart and was really impressed with them and been following them here over the last month. And they're just doing the things that they love to do. And that's get out and transition. They want to push tempo and they love to kick it out to their shooters. And they got a couple guards that can shoot the lights out of the ball. So, that if you're Lafayette County, you got to figure you got to defend the arc. You cannot let them roam free outside because if they do, those bigs are so talented that they're able to find the open guard when the ball gets dumped down and they'll relocate and they're going to be able to knock down shots. So that's where Lafayette County is going to have to really, really dig in a little bit defensively. Lutheran North, and once again, this is a team that's been under the radar all year long. And for them to win their district, and then they knock off a really good South Shelby team, and then they catch Cole Camp coming off of a 3 overtime thriller against North Callaway in the sectional. This Lutheran North team, we got to remember Lutheran North has had some pretty good basketball teams in the past 10 years or so, and so this just adds to it. but they're going to run into an absolute defensive juggernaut called Thayer. And me and you talked about this last week. Thayer and Sparta, we said first team, the 40 is going to win. Well, guess what? Thayer got the 40, they got the 50, and they held Sparta down to 37. That kind of shows you what kind of team that this Thayer team is. And once again, it's experience. They've been there. They've been able to do things like that. And so, the edge has got to go to Thayer in this. Up top, that's a coin flip. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, Lafayette County with the chip on their shoulder from last year, you've got a new Madrid team that wants to prove to everybody that they should be the state champions. That's going to I think that game within itself could be the state championship game. But I'm going to tell you right now, 4 great teams, 2 great games. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, Linus McFerrin coach team like New Madrid, they're going to be all about playing defense. They've got a couple of really good players in Jahalis Jones and BJ Williamson, both of them averaging 20 points a game. And like you said, they got shooters all over the place. Lafayette County, they're Josiah Golden. He's a stud, senior, 25 a game. And then, like you said, Lutheran North, they're going to try to push tempo. They're going to try to get Thayer to turn the ball over. If they can do that, I believe that's about the only way that they're going to be able to play with Thayer. I could be wrong, but knowing what I know about Coach Pitts and their strategy, they're going to play a 1-3-1 matchup zone. You're going to, okay, great. You hit 10 threes. That's only 30 points. You scored 35 for the game. You didn't shoot any free throws. We're going to rebound because that's what we do. And then we're going to beat you because you guys got some players. Aiden Burns is a pretty good player too. Another great junior in our state, 21 a game. I look for him to have a big game, and then they're going to be taking. I'm going to pick New Madrid because I can't pick against I can't pick against the Coach McFerrin coach team. Sorry, Lafayette County, and I really think that's what's going to happen.
No, and here's the thing, and once again, when you talk about Thayer, that 1-2-1, if everybody, this is going to go to all the coaches that have been around the block a little bit. The Jerry Tarkanian amoeba defense, that matchup that he used for that looks like a 2-3, acts like a 2-3, but it's not a 2-3. That's what this 1-3-1 is, and they just match you all over the place, and you really don't know how to run an offense against it because it looks like a man. It feels like a man, but actually it's zone principles. And that's where Thayer is so successful. And so, yeah, Lutheran North is going to have to solve that puzzle. But once again, up top, well, it's just that's going to be a knockdown drag out.
Yeah, I agree. And then we go over to class 3 girls, and we've got West County. The Bulldogs are making their second consecutive trip to the Final Four. They're going to be taking on a very tough El Dorado Springs team. And boy, I'll tell you what, that's going to be a good one, I think, with West County having 6 players who can absolutely play. And then on the other side, you've got Skyline who knocked off South Shelby. I mean, all they do is just beat really good teams. And they're going to be taking on Fair Grove, who won a good game against Mansfield, beat Stratford in the district championship game. Class 3 girls is pretty stacked, don't you think, Jim?
Sure. El Dorado Springs has got a great team. They are a lot of fun to watch. And defensively, they are as good as you are going to get. I mean, this is going to be a fun game to watch. Great matchups all over the court. It's going to be a low-scoring affair. I will tell you that right now. Both teams are going to get at you defensively. And then Skyline, once again, a team that's been there and done it. You look at the kids that have graduated from Skyline playing on the next level. In fact, just saw one of the young ladies that played at Skyline in a couple state championships, and she's leading Drury right now to another terrific season. I mean, they just crank out kids, and they crank out kids that are fundamentally sound. They do it the right way, and that's where Fair Grove is going to, kind of run into a little bit of issues because of just how fundamentally sound Skyline really, truly is. I like Skyline. Can't go against the defending state champs in El Dorado, but I'm going to tell you, West County is going to push them this year.
I think that one's going to be a push. Either one of them can win, and I agree. I think it's going to be Skyline on the other side. I got to go with the team that just won it, but I think that West County game with them is going to be a fantastic game to watch if you're a fan of just knock down, drag out, play defense, and play your butt off, which I am. I am a fan of that. And then we move over to Class
So am
Four.
I.
Yeah. We move over to Class Four boys. Now we've got our matchups in the quarterfinals. Now we've got Park Hill Central, MICDS. Then we have Center Kansas City playing Lafayette St. Joe. And then Vashon, Lutheran St. Charles. And on our last matchup, we have Father Tolton and Logan Rogersville. Jim, what's your thoughts on the final 8 here in Class 4?
Is it the final or is it the Vashon Invitational? I'm just double checking the name of this right now. No, I mean, let's call it as it is. I've said it all year long. Vashon's the best Class 4 team in the state of Missouri. Their only losses have been to teams on a national level. They have not lost to a team from the state of Missouri all year. They're the only team to beat Staley, and they beat Staley by 1 at the buzzer. The Vashon Lutheran St. Charles matchup is going to be a good one. Lutheran St. Charles isn't deep enough to go with what Tony's going to be running out at them. You look up top, Park Hill. I think Park Hill Central on my CDS is a great, intriguing matchup.
That's a rematch too. Yeah, that's a rematch from earlier this year.
Two styles that kind of go against each other, so to say. That's going to be a great game. Center and St. Joe's, Lafayette. I think that's a fun game. I tell you, Logan's Rogersville and Tolton, that's an interesting game to me because you look what Logan Rogersville did. They beat Seneca, but then Tolton, they knock off a really, really solid Springfield Catholic team, and they did it convincingly. So looking ahead, Sean Tolton in a semifinal, how much fun would that be? Just with
a lot of fun.
With the history of Tolton and Vashon, winning and doing all that stuff. So this is a great set of quarterfinal games. I think that the Park Hill MICDS game is really intriguing. I think Tolton Logan's Rogersville is intriguing, but I think Vashon right now it's theirs to lose, and they got to come out and just play horrible basketball, and we haven't seen them do that all year long to get knocked out. So it'll be fun to see who can get out of Friday with those games. But the one thing is for sure, Vashon, it's theirs to lose in my mind.
I agree with that 1,000%. And I'm gonna say it's going to be a Park Hills Lafayette St. Joe. They're going to advance. Lafayette St. Joseph. Well, I'll tell you, they again talk about playing a tough schedule. They've been under the radar all year. I look for them to possibly beat Park Hills in the finals, but I think it's going to be Vashon Tolton, and then Vashon's just going to take it home, like you said, because it's their invitational tournament.
Pretty much,
yeah. Class 4, not much different. If we look at Class 4 girls, you have Park Hill Central, their girls team. We got both boys and girls teams, the quarterfinals. Again, that's something great for programs. They're taking on Lift for Life. Then you have Nevada, you have St. Joe Benton, then you have Vashon and Moberly, and Southern Boone County against Ava. Jim, what's your thoughts on Class 4 girls?
I'm not going to say this is the Vashon Invitational on the girls' side. Because I'm going to no, because I think there's some really good teams here. And once again, no offense on the boys' side. There's some great teams here. Live for Life. I mean, what a terrific story they're turning out to be. Remember, they won it a couple years ago, and then they go down and they knock off just an unbelievable St. James team. So that's going to tell you a little bit right there. Park Hill Central better be ready. Coach Mapes better be ready for what's coming at them on Saturday afternoon. I think that's going to be a great game. Nevada and Benton. Benton has just been playing terrific. Vashon and Moberly, and I had a chance to see both those teams play earlier this week as I was the site manager over at Maryville for that sectional. Vashon came out of the gate slow. MICDS did some things to them, but then once Vashon gets that full court pressure going, they're awfully tough to stop, and that's exactly what happened. Moberly, on the other hand, they really slowed down Viz because Viz has got 4 kids that can shoot the ball from anywhere in West County, St. Louis, and make baskets. And they live and die by the 3. They knocked some shots down early, then they got cold, and they weren't able to recover. But Moberly is going – I tell you, Moberly's got some ball handlers that can handle the Vashon pressure. They've got a big. They're gonna have a nice matchup down on the post because their post is a very fundamentally sound player that does some nice things. So I'm not giving this Class 4 girls side to Vashon just yet. If they could beat Moberly, I may change my tune a little bit, but they're going to be in for a very, very tough matchup. And then down below, you got Southern Boone. They get a great 2-point win over Fatima, and then Ava. They beat Aurora. So once again, great teams in the quarterfinals. Just don't give it to Vashon just yet because this is a really loaded final 8 in Class 4 on the girls' side.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Southern Boone, given the fact that they, again, talk about schools that play just a tough schedule. I mean, they kind of came out of the meat grinder. Fatima's had a great program the last few years. I think Moberly, they can give them all they want. I just think Vashon's just going to be too much. So they're going to advance. Benton has had a fantastic year. I look for them to go ahead and move on too. And Parkville Central, I got a chance to watch them last night as they played Doniphan and beat a very good Doniphan team. I mean, they got the guard play, they got the bigs, they play really good defense, they play well together. I look for them to advance and and make that trip to Springfield themselves. So I think Class 4 is going to be pretty exciting.
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch, without a doubt. I mean, I'll have my mind and my eye on what's going on with all those Class 4 games on Friday and Saturday. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it shakes out.
Sure thing. And then we move on to Class 5 boys as we continue on another bracket that just has quarterfinals. As district champions now, they go from being there's no sectional game in Class 5 or 6. So our district champions, we have Sykeston, who upset the number 1 team in Class 5 at Cape Central. They're going to be taking on Powerhouse Cardinal Ritter. Here's your consolation prize. You beat number 1, now you got to play number 2. And then on the next matchup, we have Ruskin and Pembroke Hill, then Ladue and Westminster Christian, and then Jeff City and Hillcrest to round out the final 8. Jim, what's your thoughts on Class 5?
Wow. Well, once again, I mean, you look at who got knocked off this past week. You look at Cape Central, who got knocked off. You look at the Smet team, and golly, I watched the end of that game. You missed 5 shots within 3 feet in the last 10 seconds to win the game, and they just couldn't get the ball to fall down for them. And Ladue played a terrific game against them. I really love the Ladue-Westminster matchup. Once again, 2 styles that aren't contrasting at all. This is a track meet. If I'm the official, I'm blowing my whistle, I'm putting the starter's gun up, and I'm pulling the trigger and just letting these 2 teams go. And Westminster, Dale Riddle's just done a terrific job with this program since taking it over, and he's got a dynamic player in Kobe Williams. Kobe over 1,500 points in his career, set the new Westminster scoring record. Just absolutely terrific young man. So that's going to be a great game. Sykeston, don't count them out. They beat Cape. They know what to do. They know how to play games like this. Cardinal Ritter got out of the gate a little bit behind schedule, so to say, in the district, but they came on when they needed to, and they took care of a Vianney team that was playing some good basketball, in the district final. So that game's going to be a great matchup. Then, Jeff City, great to see them getting back into the mix on the basketball side. They're going to play a really talented Hillcrest team. And then Ruskin and Pembroke Hill, once again, a couple games there to where, great coaches, great defense. But I really love this Class 5 Final 8 field. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see who's going to whirl it down to the Final 4 next week. And, St. Louis got a shot for an all St. Louis final. It'll be interesting if it shakes out, but I'm going to tell you right now, you could have a very, very distinct possibility of that happening.
Yeah, and I got a chance to watch Westminster play the other night in the district semifinals against Warrenton, and you were talking about the Williams kid, and my dad's real big on Westminster and how good they are and how well they play defense. And I gotta say, he can flat out score from anywhere on the court. He can jump up and he can hammer it. But I'll tell you, I don't think I've seen such really good on-ball defense. You can't set an on-ball screen against him. He's just going to get through the pick. He knows how to talk. He looks for his teammates. He's a phenomenal player. And when they pulled him out of the game, I believe Warrenton had 35 points and he had 34. So it just tells you really how good he is. And I like that matchup against Ladue. I'm just going to root for the defense that I've seen. I'm going to go with Westminster. They're going to be taking on Jeff City, and that Ruskin Pembroke Hill is kind of a push. Ruskin's kind of came on late this year. They play obviously in a tough KC. When you play down there in KC, that one of those teams that comes out of there, they're always tough. They're always athletic. They always play really good defense. I'm going to go ahead and just take Ruskin. And well, I'll tell you what, I can't. It's hard to bet against Coach Hollifield at Sykeston. He's done a great job this year. Again, talk about a team that started slow and just got beat by Cape Central by 20 about 2 weeks ago, and then turn around and you upset those guys in the district championship. And I'm going to go ahead and pick Sykeston. I'm going to say that they're going to pull off the upset. Ooh. They're going to beat one. They're going to beat two in the next game. So, good luck to him. Hopefully he makes me, they win. So that way it makes me sound like I know what I'm talking about. But I agree. I think this is a really, really good class 5 Final 8 teams. And then we talk about girls because we got to keep rolling along here. Class 5 girls, which I think is one of the, you just talk about pound for pound, just really good programs. You have Cape Notre Dame. They're going to be playing against an extremely difficult John Burroughs team. Then the next matchup is Carl Junction, who's the number 1 team in Class 5. They're going to be taking on a Lincoln College prep team that's really came on late. Then you have Whitfield, who they've obviously had some adversity this year. They're going to be taking on Lutheran St. Charles, who's had a fantastic season. And then Jeff City and West Plains. Talk about some teams that just upset people moving along. West Plains has kind of had that year where they played up and down. They've lost some games they shouldn't have, but they've also beat some really good teams. And guess where they're at? They're in the Final 8. So, Jim, what's your thoughts on Class 5 girls?
John Burroughs and Carl Junction. Why that game is in the stinking semifinal, if it happens, is beyond me, because they've been the 2 best teams in the state all year long.
Yes, they have.
No question. There's been no doubt, no question. Burroughs will take care of their business. Allie Turner is as good as it gets. They've got, she's got a great supporting cast. Monet Witherspoon right next to her. They're just deep. They're talented. Jacob York has done a great job in bringing that program to where it's at right now. Carl Junction, they're going to take care of their business without any doubt. Whitfield, what a terrific story. And, we're talking about a program that right before Christmas went on a hiatus because they didn't have enough kids. They talk a volleyball player into coming out to play so that they had 5 kids to play. Well, guess what? A month and a half later, they win their district with 5 kids, and they're playing in a state quarterfinal. But
unreal.
The story ends, unfortunately, this week because, Lutheran St. Charles, when you got Spies, you've got the, Auburn in the middle. They're really, really talented, and they do so many great things so extremely well. And then I really like this West Plains team. They're a good team. They play a really tough schedule. They're going to be a tough out for Jeff City. But if I got to say Final 4 right now, Burroughs, CJ, Lutheran St. Charles, West Plains, what a Final 4 in Class 5 that is going to be. And honestly, when you look at it, those have been the top teams in the state all year long.
I wish I could see Whitfield and West Plains play because that would be the state championship rematch from last year. I disagree with you. I think Lutheran St. Charles is going to take care of business. Burroughs, Notre Dame being a SEMO team, I don't think it really matters. I think Burroughs is just that much better. Carl Junction has only lost to a team out of Oklahoma this year. They have rolled every single other team that they've played in Missouri. They are really tough. They've been kind of in this area in St. Louis and over on this side of the state, very under the radar. So I look for them to make a showing and to get to the Final 4. And that game with Burroughs is going to be just a knockdown drag out. I wish it was on the other side as well. So, I think we got some really good Class 5 girls matchups. Again, stacked. Top 8 teams, they're stacked.
Yeah, loaded.
And then we look at Class 6 boys.
Class 6.
And here we go. Class 6, we've got the Jackson Indians. They're going to be taking on Eureka. Then we have Battle taking on the number 1 team, Staley. And Chaminade, they're going to be taking on Troy Buchanan. And Kickapoo. Oh my gosh, Kickapoo! They're in it again. Really? They knock off the previously undefeated Nixa for the district championship. They're going to be taking on a very, very good Lee Summit West team. So, Jim, what do you see with Class 6?
This one is the Staley Invitational. I'll go ahead and name it that right now. I mean, golly, the job that Chris Neff has done with that team. And they've been building to this group. They've been building to this point. And once again, one of their only losses was a Vashon at the buzzer at Vashon. They'll take care of their business up top. Jackson won a great win over Kirkwood. In the district, in a defensive just battle between the two. Eureka Curbs has got those kids playing hard. They knocked off Lafayette in the district. Chaminade, they knock off CBC, for a rematch in the MCC. Troy's been playing some great basketball.
Yes,
I really like the bottom part of this. Troy's been playing terrific basketball. They've got a great guard that just scored over 1,000 points. And Kickapoo and Summit West, I think that's the X factor game right there, because those two teams can get after each other. What a great final eight we've got here. But once again, I think it's Staley's to lose. They've just been playing at that level all year long. They've been the number one team in the state from the first poll. I don't see it changing. And I think that's the way Class 6 is going to go. Somebody's going to finally get that Class 6 trophy away from the St. Louis side.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree about Staley. They're just such a really good program. I look for them to take care of business against Battle, and whoever else wins between Eureka and Jackson, obviously pulling for SEMO and Jackson. I like to see SEMO teams make it, but Eureka's they're playing really well right now. Chaminade and Troy, boy, that's a push in my opinion. I'm gonna go with Troy though. I think they have been playing good basketball all year. I think their competition is really good, and in Chaminade, I think they upset CBC, and that could have been it for them. As far as upsets go, I do believe they got a young team. And I'm going to take Lee Summit West over Kickapoo. I think they've again talk about Kansas City schools. I think they're one of the better ones, and it could be an all KC finals if I'm not mistaken. I really think it's Staley, and I'm gonna say Lee Summit West when it's all said and done.
Yeah, once again, and I've said it all year long, I think Staley's the top team. They've been there, and once again, no offense. Chaminade's getting healthy. They're getting, Navion Daniels back. BJ Ward just set the school career assist record the other night. There's just something that tells me Staley's going to win this thing, just the way that they've played all year.
Absolutely.
Now let's go to Class 6 girls. Now we go to Class 6 girls for the Incarnate Word Invitational.
Wait. Incarnate Words turn around looking at everybody like Larry Bird in 3-point contest. Okay, who's getting second? That's kind of what I feel like.
Next? Who's got next?
Yeah.
You can talk about the matchups, and here's the deal. Truman getting upset in the district opened the door wide open opened it wide open for Incarnate, because I was hoping we would see Incarnate and Truman. And with Truman getting knocked out of the district, you've got great teams there. Jackson, Eureka, James Alsop and that Eureka crew, they're having a great year. They play in some of the top schedules in the area. Jackson, they're doing some great things. Rockbridge is young this year. I think they're a little bit ahead of schedule from what Jill Nagel thought they were going to be. Park Hill South has been a team that's been really talented all year long. Troy, very solid St. Charles team out of the GAC. Republic and Raytown, I think that's going to be an outstanding matchup. But I'm sorry, there's just nobody in the state of Missouri right now at the level of Incarnate Word. If they win the next 3 games, I believe it puts them at 102 consecutive. That puts them within 21 of the Stratford record of 123. I just don't see it happening this year. I just don't see anybody right now matching up with Potts, who scored 2,000 points the other night. Wow. You've got Coffee right next door that just scored her 1,000th point as a sophomore. You've got the defense. They're hitting on all cylinders. They played a national schedule, and that's what everybody needs to remember. Incarnate has doing this, playing a national schedule.
Right.
They've played 5 of the top teams in the country this year, and they've won 99 straight.
Unreal.
No offense to anybody, Incarnate is going to win Class 6. I just want to see somebody keep it within 20.
Right.
That's all. If you do that, that's a moral victory. And I know coaches hate moral victories.
Right. I want to see a good game. I'm going to be down there. I want to see a good game.
I tell you, the Incarnate John Burroughs game a couple weeks ago was terrific. I mean, Burroughs had a lead, and Incarnate finally got pushed. But guess what? That was the wake-up call, I think, because then what they did in their next 2 district games and hanging hundreds and then beating up, their MWA rival in St. Joe's in the district final. It just, once again, I think the Burroughs game was a wake-up call for Incarnate because I think they were getting a little complacent with some stuff. But guess what? That was the wrong time for Incarnate to get the wake-up call for everybody else that they're going to play in the Class 6 tournament because they're just steamrolling everybody.
I agree. Republican Raytown, I think that's unfortunately for them and Park Hill South, because I think those are the next 3 best teams that are left. I mean, Park Hill South and Coach Dorr, who's a guy who's coached in the area, former coach of Herculaneum. He's done a fantastic job. He's got a really good team. And I think they're gonna win out, but I think they're gonna be taking on Incarnate Word when it's all said and done. And we kind of know how that's been going here for the last 99 games.
The one thing everybody says Incarnate Word, I says Incarnate Word does what Incarnate Word does: win ball games. Yep, we were talking about this at the GLV. Yeah, we were talking about this at the GLVC tournament. You look at Drury and the juggernaut that they've got. They've won 7 straight GLVC championships. They haven't lost a GLVC tournament game in 20 games. I mean, it's amazing. And so when you're talking about here in Missouri, we are so fortunate on the girls' side to have one of the best high school programs in the country in Incarnate, and then one of the best college programs on the Division II level in Drury. And I mean, it's just so much fun for the girls enthusiasts like I am in promoting girls athletics to be able to see that. It's absolutely phenomenal that we've got 2 groups that are promoting girls athletics the way that they should be put out there.
100% agree. Well, it should be a lot of fun. I mean, we got some great basketball matchups in the Final Four this week. We've got some great quarterfinal matchups that are going to be happening this weekend in Class 4, 5, and 6. You're going to be in Springfield. I'm going to be in Springfield, and I'm pretty sure we'll be in the same place at the same time and get to hang out again here in another couple days.
Nobody is safe in that Coaches Association suite when me and you are going to be down there. I'm just saying it's going to be no holds barred when me and you are together down there. No, it's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to catching up with you down there. And, now that hoops are over with, getting back onto the show, onto the Coaches Box here on Wednesday nights with everybody. But, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun the next couple weeks. So we'll do this again next week to preview all the great games for next weekend.
Absolutely. Well, for Jim and for me, appreciate you guys tuning in, and hopefully you get a chance to see some of this great basketball that we have to finish up the season. And until next week, this has been another episode of On the Move at the Caravan Sports Preview Show with Jim Powers. I'm Chris Miller. You guys have a great day.
Tune in for new episodes of Coach's Box each week on our Facebook page, YouTube channel, or the Streamline Sports app. And you can also listen to our show on Apple Podcasts, Google, and Spotify. This episode of On the Move with the Caravan is brought to you by Off the Rails Media. Life's more fun when you're off the rails.